In Gaza's main square, thousands gathered to witness an extraordinary moment that shattered expectations. To the deafening cheers of the crowd, 3 hostages were handed over to the Red Cross. Standing alongside them were fighters from the Qassam brigades, clad in full combat gear, a striking display of defiance. After 15 months of unrelenting bombardment, displacement, and near-total destruction, Gaza's resistance had not only endured, but re-emerged unbroken. The scene was not just one of survival, but a powerful reclaiming of dignity, resilience, and unyielding defiance. Meanwhile, in Israel, the mood couldn't have been more different. Disbelief and humiliation prevailed. Prime Minister Netanyahu had assured Israelis time and time again that northern Gaza had been cleansed, that Hamas had been wiped out, and that the area was firmly under Israeli control. Yet here were the hostages, held in the very north Netanyahu claimed to control, being confidently released by the very fighters he said were eradicated. Few moments in recent memory have so vividly exposed the hollowness of such claims. As celebrations erupted in Gaza, Israel faced a reckoning. On live television, Giora Island, one of the architects of Israel's so-called general's plan to ethnically cleanse the north in order to eradicate the resistance, called the war a resounding failure. When asked if Hamas had won, he didn't mince his words. Certainly, yes, certainly, it is a resounding failure. Writing in the Times of Israel, Israeli-American columnist David Rees echoed the sentiment. Israel has been forced to fight war after war in order to defend itself. It won the wars in 1948, 1967 and 1973. It fought Hezbollah to a draw in 2006. That has just changed. Unfortunately, instead of his legacy being the man who could defend Israel, Netanyahu will go down as the first Prime Minister of Israel ever to lose a war. The question now is, how could such overwhelming firepower fail so spectacularly? In the first 6 months of the war, Netanyahu's campaign unleashed over 70,000 tons of explosives on Gaza's 360 square kilometers, more than what was dropped on Dresden, Hamburg and London during the Second World War combined. Satellite images revealed that 62% of Gaza's buildings were either completely destroyed or severely damaged. Entire neighborhoods were flattened. The blockade already suffocating Gaza was tightened further, cutting off water, food and fuel. Gaza became a mass concentration camp. Netanyahu's strategy hinged on eliminating Hamas leaders, believing their deaths would fracture the resistance and turn Palestinians against their own fighters. But this tactic backfired. Even when he offered $5 million and safe passage for anyone willing to betray Hamas by freeing a hostage, not a single person stepped forward, not even from a starved, homeless population. In the end, it wasn't Netanyahu who dictated terms, but Hamas. Hostages were released only under conditions of a ceasefire, withdrawal, and prisoner exchange. The failure to break Gaza's spirit underscored the collapse of Netanyahu's strategy. But history teaches us that resistance is like a tide. When one wave is broken, another rises. Abu Iyad, the PLO leader assassinated in Tunis, my hometown, back in 1991, once predicted, and I quote, "Our people will give birth to a new revolution, to a movement more powerful than ours, to leaders who are more experienced and more dangerous to the Zionists. The Palestinians' unwavering will to continue the battle is a truth beyond doubt. We are determined to remain as a people, and one day we will have a homeland." His words resonate today. Against all odds, Gazans refuse to bow to their oppressors and continue their march toward freedom. Netanyahu's dream of a second Nakba has been eclipsed by what Gazans are calling the March of Return. Displaced families, bloodied and battered, are making their way back to the ruins of their homes. Their return is both a physical and symbolic act, a testament to a people who refuse to be erased. The parallels to Vietnam are striking, as Tamir Pardo, the former Mossad chief, aptly noted. During the Vietnam War, an American colonel reportedly said to his North Vietnamese counterpart, "You know, you never defeated us on the battlefield." The North Vietnamese officer's response was chilling in its truth. That may be so, but it is also irrelevant. Victory wasn't about military dominance. It was about survival and endurance. As Pardo bluntly admitted, tomorrow we will leave and they will remain. This war was never about Hamas alone, but about a century-long Palestinian struggle for freedom. From the Balfour Declaration in 1917 to today, Palestinians have resisted colonial seizure through strikes, protests, civil disobedience, uprisings, and armed revolts. The forms of resistance may have evolved, the faces may have changed, from nationalist and leftist to Islamist, but the essence remains the same, an unyielding determination to reclaim their homeland. Netanyahu's allies once gloated over the exodus of Gazans, dreaming of transforming the Strip into a colonial settlement with a sea view, as Daniela Weiss, leader of the settlers' movement, promised, or forcing its residents into exile. Why not to Scotland, as Ben-Gvir suggested? Yet today, Gazans are returning, battered but unbroken, vowing never to leave again. As they celebrate their survival, the venomous words of Israel's finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, serve as a chilling reminder of the brutality of Israel's colonial project. Don't be impressed by their forced joy, he said. This is an animalistic society that sanctifies death. Very soon, we will erase their smiles. His words epitomize the brutality of Israel's colonial project, which over the course of 15 months revealed its savagery to the world. Israeli soldiers documented much of the destruction themselves, providing ample evidence that may one day be used in international courts. As journalist Gideon Levy lamented, "I am so ashamed. It isn't only about the killing, it's about being proud of the destruction. Israel is proud of it, and that is truly troubling." Even Holocaust historians Daniel Blotman and Amos Goldberg drew chilling parallels. What is happening in Gaza is not the Holocaust. There is no Auschwitz or Treblinka here, but this is a crime of the same family. One of the most haunting moments of this war came just hours after the ceasefire was announced. Rescuers pulled a 3-year-old boy, Asad Fadil Khalifa, from the rubble of his home in Gaza City. Covered in dust and struggling to breathe, his tiny hands worked to remove gravel from his mouth. Around him lay the ruins of his family home, his loved ones buried beneath the wreckage. That outstretched hand, rising from the destruction, encapsulates the indomitable spirit of the Palestinian people, resilient, unyielding, and unbreakable. Against overwhelming odds, they rise again and again, refusing to be erased. Asad's survival, like Gaza's resistance, stands as a symbol of hope, endurance, and the unrelenting pursuit of freedom.